Hi everyone, myself Nitish. This is the video of module number 3, part 4. Part 1 is completed, part 2 is completed, and part 3 is completed. Part 4. This is a part 4 of module number 3. Here, part 4 of module number 3. So, in module number part 3, part 3, we discussed about coagulation. Just I'll go through the part 3 recall. Just a recall of part 3. Here, we discussed in the part 3 just coagulation and flocculation, as well as particles in the how the particle behavior in the water, that we discussed, as well as settling behavior in the particle, that is how the behavior of the particle in the water, and what is coagulation, flocculation, what is the major duty of the coagulation and flocculation, and why coagulation, factor affecting that of the coagulation, and types of coagulants. This much of the portion we discussed in the module 3 part 3 video. In that also we discussed a few problems regarding sedimentation. Now I'll continue the part 4 of the video with the alum dosage, that is aluminum sulfate. Why we are using aluminum sulfate as a coagulant, even though we are using other coagulant also, and why we are using this is in wide range. So here widely we are used to, is easily available and minimum cost, that is the main agenda is easily available as well as minimum cost, and it is making also very easy. Recovery is possible, and recovery cost is just 1/4 of the cost of the alum. See, the recovery is also available and recovery cost is just 1/4. Alum is nothing but aluminum sulfate, and usually dose of the alum will be 10 to 30 milligram. Usually we used to make a dose. Okay, that is also done by laboratory test. Okay, and effective when the pH is 6.5 to 8.5. So this is the pH is very normal range and normal drinking water standard. So in this way it is effectively removal of making the coagulant and removal of all the sediment that is settling particles, and requires presence of alkalinity in the water. Okay, and many water have a bicarbonate alkalinity naturally. So many of the water usually have bicarbonate alkalinity in the naturally process. So that there is no much adding of the alkalinity, so that this alum will be easy to react with an HCO3, that is this one, see this highlighted, that I'm just highlighting you that for chemical formula, how it will be going to react with a solid particle which is not able to settle by its own gravity, how the alum, that is aluminum sulfate, will be going to react with this particular solids. So this is just an highlighted version of your chemical formula. Just see here how this is implemented. See, Al2SO4 tries, that is 18HO2, which will be 3HCO3 alkaline. See, the required presence of alkalinity in the water. See, this is bicarbonate alkalinity which will be present naturally in the water. So the reaction will be 2AlOH thrice and 3CaSO4 and 6CO2 as well as H in H2O. This will be split up and arrest the particle, and it will be, the above reaction will be indicate that 1 mg of Al3 plus react with a 5.56 milligram of alkalinity as CaCO3 from 2.89 mg of aluminum hydroxide flocks. See, above reaction indicate that 1 mg of the Al3 means this is the your aluminum will be react with an 5.56 of this. So this is Ca HCO3, that is alkalinity, bicarbonate alkalinity. From a 2.89 mg of aluminum hydroxide flux will be formed. This will be arrested, this flux will be arresting of your solid material, which will be not settled due to by its own gravity. See here, so this flux will be arrest the solid material, and it will be make them to settle easily, and it will be settled at the bottom of the sedimentation tank. Okay. Now, what is the advantage and disadvantages of alum? That is also an important factor why we are using this alum as a coagulant. Okay, now we'll go one by one. That is, first one, reduce the taste and odor in the addition of turbidity. Not only reducing the turbidity in the sample, including that it will be reducing of taste in the water. Taste due to why taste will be there in the water? It is only due to actually water should be tasteless and odorless. If it is there, this is due to because of organic decomposition or organic reaction which will be happening in the water. So due to that, there will be a taste and odor will be there, that will be removed. Okay, taste and odor should not be there. Odor should not be there in the water. This is one more advantage, that this taste and odor should be removed. In addition to turbidity, this is a major factor of alum is to remove the turbid particle. Alright, and it is easily available and cheap, and working is very simple. Just if you can use it as a dry form as well as a liquid form, that is doesn't make any difference. But it is working with this alum is very simple. Doesn't require skilled labor. Yes, doesn't require any skilled labor, because by the laboratory test you can decide what is the optimum dosage is required, and based on that weigh it and just add it into water and give a flocculation, so that is crystal clear water. Okay, and there is no water will be crystal clear, heavy and better flock will be very good and heavy, so that the settling will be easy in this process. Settling will be very easy. Okay, and quite tough to broken down. But what is the disadvantage factor here? Means it is difficult to dewater the sludge. Sludge means what? Sludge, it is what in the bottom of the tank. In the bottom of the tank, after the particle will be settled in the bottom of the tank, the dirt particle, which is settleable particle, after adding coagulation also, this is the part is called sludge. This is called as sludge. Okay, this sludge is called sludge. This sludge is nothing but difficult to dewater. Difficult to dewater means removal of the water in this particular sludge very difficult, because when we are this sludge taken into a drying part, in this sludge what we are going to do this sludge will be taken to drying. After drying, dewatering, that means dewatering. Drying means removal of the water. After that, we are making a cake and sending to agriculture purposes or any other purposes, or we are going for a incineration. Incineration means nothing but we are going to burn it. So in the removal of the water in the sludge is difficult. Sludge is not easy to dispose of. That is also important. This is not easily disposed of. Okay. Imparts of permanent hardness. That is also a difficult. Permanent hardness will be imparted. Produce of CO2 can issue the corrosion. Especially there will be a CO2 production, the CO2 production will be always cause a corrosion, and effective pH range is very small. Okay, this is a not major disadvantages as compared to other alum. Okay, so this is about your advantages and disadvantages. So first one, in the advantages it will be first one, reduce taste and odor, so that white taste odor is reduced, including your major process. That is, major process is removal of turbidity, and cheap and easily available, simple and working very easy, simple because it is handling is very easy, no much toxic, doesn't require skilled labor, just wait and add it into water. Crystal clear water, heavy, better flock, heavy. If the flock is heavy, then settling will be very easy. Difficult to dewater. This is about your disadvantage. Difficult to dewater the sludge, as well as sludge is not easy to dispose of. Okay, and production of CO2 gases. This is about disadvantage and advantages slide. Slide number is 31. We will go to next one. Coagulant, the very important part which we came through. That is a very important slide. Here, everywhere we have discussed. It's a here factor affecting dose of the alum. How to put the dose? Dose means how much gram of the coagulant we have to put, how much weight of the coagulant we have to put here or here. That is, take a alum, take any of the matter here, any coagulant. How much of the dose we are going to put here? That is important. Okay. So for this, how the dose, what is the dose we are going to give, that is very important. For that I'll tell you how to do the laboratory experiment. See, here also we told 10 to 30. What is the optimum? Because we should not give high also dosage and we should not give less also dosage. So the dosage should be removal of better 100% of the particle, or maximum particle can be removed in the tank. That is what we are motto to achieve. So now, in the practice, irrespective of the what coagulant or coagulant aid is used, the optimum dose are usually determined by jar test. A typical jar test apparatus consists of 4 to 6 beakers, 1 to 2 liter volume, provided with a variable speed stirrer. See here how the dosage is discussed. How dosage we have to give. For that, I will give an example of here, the very good example. See, you can see the figure of this. See, this clear figure here. See, in this figure, I'll just mention what it is. Every part, I'll just mention it. See, this is consist of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There will be a 4 set to 6 set beaker of this is 4 set beaker. You can see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 set. So limit there will be a 4 to 6 beakers set will be there. You consider this is a beaker. Okay. There will be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 set of beaker is provided, and see, this is one display is provided. This may work on sensor basis also because the RPM is fixed. And see here, the pedals are provided. That is variable speed stirrer. This is also, you can call it as a stirrer or pedal, which have a blade. See, you cannot see here. It has a blade. See, you can see it here, which has a blade, which will give a maximum stir, so that whatever the coagulant you are adding to the water, it has to be distributed overall area, overall places of the water, all the molecules of the water. So it has to be reached. wherever you are putting, for example, you are putting 10 milligram, 1 to 10 milligram of the alum dosage. So that dosage should be entirely mixed in the beaker, so that we are giving the proper stirrer, or that stirrer will be based upon some particular RPM. So now I will explain so this is a display indicator, and this is collecting pipe or collecting pipe to test the turbidity. Okay. So now you see here, the beaker is filled with the raw water. See, all the beaker should be filled with water. For example, water which is coming from the for example, in the sedimentation tank, or in the sedimentation tank only settlable water is settled, means by its own gravity, remaining particle is not settled. That water you can take for adding of the alum dosage for settling of remaining particle, or you can take directly in the raw water, that is in the river also. That is also will tell the dosage. So here you take 1 to 2 liter, for example, say 1 liter, the raw water, or in all the beaker, turbidity will be same. The turbidity means, I already explained in the quality of the water unit. In the module number 2, we discussed quality of the water. In the turbidity matter, we discussed how to test the turbidity in the laboratory. That turbidity, we have to, how turbid is water. For example, turbid is, example, I will take example, turbid is 100 NTU. Your raw water turbid is 100 NTU. Raw water. This is raw water. Turbid is 100 NTU. This is your water is raw, means directly we are without any treatment. That is called raw water. Okay. This is your raw water. Example we are giving, all the beaker has a 100 NTU turbidity. This is we are directly taken from the river or any water sources. Now you add the amount dosage you had, because we don't know how much dosage we have to add. So say add here around say, I don't know, we cannot say it is exactly, just say here 5 milligram per liter dosage, here 10 milligram per dosage, here for this beaker it is 15 milligram, in this beaker 20 milligram, this beaker 25 milligram and per liter, and this is 30 milligram per liter. The dosage should be in milligram per liter. Always your dosage should be in milligram per liter. Okay, your dosage should be in always milligram per liter. You can convert, your alum is available in aluminum sulfate, available in powder form. Just you confirm how you can make it as a liquid form, that is you convert into milligram per liter, and dosage 5 milligram per liter here, 10 milligram per liter here, 15 milligram per liter here, 20 milligram per liter here, 25 milligram per liter here, 30 milligram per liter here. So now for example, if you are taking 2 liter, then it will be doubled, because it will be 10, but actually dosage is 5 milligram per liter. That is my theme, the 5 milligram per liter dosage. You add as of your, for example, 800 ml of the water if you are taking, then for 1 liter it is 5 milligram, then 800 ml what is the dosage. So for example, I am thinking that I am taking here 1 liter, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So now in that I am adding so and so dosage. For example, in example, I have my raw water turbidity in all the beaker turbidity is 100 NTU. Now for me here in this, just I'll take a eraser. Okay. Now now I added 5 milligram per liter here, 10 milligram here, 15 here, 20 here, 25 here, 30 here. Now what I will do, I will go for a rapid mixing of that is up to 1 minute. That is 1 minute. I am going to maximum speed up to 100 to 200 RPM. Maximum speed of this instrument, that is maximum for 1 minute. I am going to give for a minute. 1 minute I am going to give rapid mixing, that is 100 to 200 RPM, so that all your alum what you are added 5, 10, 15 so on, that should be distributed. That should be equally distributed entire surface or area of the water or all the molecules of the water, so that the evenly distribution will be going to done. After that you are giving the flocculate, slower pre-worked speed. That is, then you are reducing the speed. Reducing the speed up to 30 RPM, only 20 to 30 RPM. You are reducing the speed of 20 to 30 RPM. Remember, first you gave, for 1 minute you gave 100 to 200 RPM, because for rapid mixing, so that your whatever the dosage you added, that should be distributed among entire place. After that you are reducing the speed, so there will be some flocculation formation will be there. In that slow mixing, very slow mixing, that is 20 to 30 RPM for 15 to 30 minutes. For a 15 to 30 minutes. Rapid mixing is only for 1 minute, but this slow mixing is only 15 to 30 minutes. You can use this indicator to change your RPM. Okay. So now after that remove the pedal. Just you can rise up, remove the pedal or not, because here here some of the instrument you are using beakers, that time you have to lift it. If you are not using beaker, if you are using kind of beakers, then you have a collector, so that it will easily collect it at the bottom. Now thereafter you just leave as it is for 20 to 40 minutes. Just leave as it is for 20 to 40 minutes. So what happened, the flock what will be arrested, that will be settled for the bottom of the tank. This is your giving detention time now to the tank. So now after that, check the turbidity in the using this filter here you are provided. Here you have you can open it. That valve is provided here. This valve has a 6 valve has there. Just check the turbidity. Initial turbidity was 100 NTU for all the tank. Now check the turbidity of the initial turbidity was 100 NTU. Now check the turbidity by using turbidity instrument. So now while checking the turbidity, you may get for 5 milligram per liter, you may get dosage is your turbidity is 15. For example, turbidity here it is 20 you will get. See, this is turbidity I am giving. Turbidity for first beaker you may get 20. First beaker you may get 20. Second beaker it will reduce to 15. Third beaker it will reduce to 10, and it will reduce to 5. Then again it will reduce to 13, 17 say, and again it will reduce to 20 or 22, whatever it may be. So here it said that if you use low dosage here 5 to 10 milligram per liter, your turbidity means the removal. Turbidity means what? So it was 100 initially. That means high turbid. That means high solid suspended particle will be there in the water. So now it is reduced to NTU. Reduced, all are NTU. Reduced to 20. That means it is reduced, but not to 5 in the first tank. Not to 5 in the first tank. Right, not to in the second tank, not to 5. It is reduced up to 15. but not to 5. Third tank, it is reduced to 10. From 100 it is reduced to 10, but not to 5. Again, in the fourth tank, it is reduced to 5, but not as compared to all the tank. It is the maximum removal of the turbidity in the fourth tank. That is very simple. So in the fourth tank, it is maximum removal, right? So that means if you compare to other two tank also, this is a maximum removal. That is a low turbidity here. Okay. Again, if you go to fifth tank, it is 17. It is reduced 100 to 17, but not to 5. Again, it is the increasing rate. The graph is shown in this way. 50, for example, now this is 20. This is 15, and this is 15, and this is 10, and this is say, I'm just giving an example. Let's just give example, and say this is 5, and this is 17, and this is 22. As of my result, I am giving an example. Just see now, here it is reduced. Maximum removal is 5. For the dosage of how much? In our situation, dosage is 20 milligram per liter. 20. I'll go for a. If you are not understanding in this graph, I'll take one more graph for our own dosage. This is the actual graph will be look like. I'll just take one screen for you to understand better understanding of the concept. Okay, you will take a screen. See now, this is the alum dosage. For example, this is 0, 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, so on, in milligram per liter. And this is turbidity 5, 10, 20, 25. Based on result, you can draw your this one 35. So now, for me, in the 5 milligram per liter, the turbidity was how much? 20, right? And for 10 milligram dosage in the second beaker, it was 15. 15 will come here, and third beaker it was 10, right? In the third beaker it was 10, and in the fourth beaker it was 5. Again in the fifth beaker I gave 30 dosage, no? I gave 25 dosage. It went right. 25. So I'll draw one more time. Here just see 0, 5, 10, 20, 25, 30. So same I am taking here. This is based on your result. Based on your result. 15. 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay. Now for 5 dosage in the first beaker, it was in the 5 dosage for the first beaker, it was, example I am giving, it was 20. Okay. In the 10 beaker it was 15. In the 20 third beaker it was 10. In the fourth beaker it was 5. It is 15. Sorry, this is 15. 15, 20, 25, 30. And so in the third beaker it was your result for the 15 milligram per dosage is in the fifth. In the first beaker it was 20, and second beaker it was 15, and in the third beaker it was 10, and in the fourth beaker it was in the dosage of 20 milligram 5. Again in the 25 dosage in the fifth beaker it is increased to 17, and in the third beaker it is increased to 22. Your graph will come in this manner. Your graph will come in this manner. So the dosage of 20 milligram per liter of dosage is at 20 milligram per liter of dosage. You had a very good removal, so you should not exceed or you should not decrease. So that is maximum removal is 20. So that is 20 dosage is very good as of your graph. Okay. For example, if this is what your jar test says. Okay. This is what your jar test going to say. Now, I hope you understood very well about your dosage test, that is called jar test, that is optimum dosage of coagulant. That is, in one beaker you will get a minimum maximum removal with normal dosage. Okay. I hope you understood. You can see this graph also. Clear. I hope this is clear for you. We'll go to another slide. That is now we'll go to importance of optimum coagulant. That is why we need optimum coagulant, and overdose. What happened if overdose or you got it? Now we had a graph got like this in the last. Like this we got, that is, this is overdose, this is underdose. So that should not happen, should be clear. Okay, so for that we will discuss in this slide what happened if overdose or if lower dose. Okay, now dosage of the coagulant, or if the dosage of the coagulant overdosing may lead to increase the treatment cost. Correct. No, one is yes, exactly. You are adding overdose. It will be increase your treatment. Restabilization of the colloids. Again, it will be restabilization of the colloids. See that you got the result is increasing. That means again it will remove the bond. Restabilize. It will be not stabilizing. Again, it leads to restabilize. So that should not happen. Increasing of the sludge mass. Again, see if we are going to add more dosage, then again it will be going to increase the sludge mass. Again, public health concerns. Always anything should not be excess for health. So it will be leads a problem. So that is the main reason we should not add extra dosage. It should be optimum. It should be optimum dosage. Okay. So it should be increasing in the treatment cost, restabilization of the colloids, and increasing the sludge mass as well as public health concerns. The coagulant and underdosing dosage may lead to lesser degree of removal, failure to meet the water quality targets. Correct? No. So if it is underdosage, if the lower dosage if you are putting, what happened? The removal efficiency is less. If, for example, 100 NTU of the sample is there, in the sample 100 NTU is there, if you are reducing only 90 and 10 NTU, what is the difference? That should not be happen, means you should give proper, that is optimum dosage you should give, not over or not lower. So the removal degree is very low, and failure to meet the water quality target. For example, you are having 100 NTU, you had a raw water sample has 100 NTU turbidity. Your target is to remove till 5 NTU. From 100 to 5 NTU you have to remove. That means you have to remove 90, almost 95 NTU you have to remove. But if you are giving lower dosage, then it may not be removed. The target is not achieved. So that is what your lower dosage happens. I hope you got it. What happened if dosage is over, or what happened if dosage is higher. Okay, we'll go to another slide which is also more important, that is how to, for example, in the laboratory we mix it by using of jar test. How to mix it properly? So that for that we have to provide a tank, right? So here we have to provide a tank. Here we are going for rapid mixing, that is rapid mixing or flash mixing, because as we suggested in the as I suggested you in the jar test, the rapid mixing should be there first for a flash mixing or rapid mixing for a certain RPM for a 1 minute in the laboratory test. The same way we are giving in the flash mix certain period of a time in the treatment plant. That is called a rapid mixing. From the raw water enters to here in the rapid mixing tank. Here it will be, your dosage should be rapidly mixed here in the water. Then it will come to high speed to medium speed and medium speed to low speed. Then it will go to sedimentation chamber. There it will be giving the detention time. Then it will be going to settle. Okay. So that is what coagulation and flocculation basin will be. This is the flocculation basin, lower mixing, and baffle channel floaters will be there here, baffle channel. From there it will be travel water will be like this, and pedal flocculator will be provided. This is pedal, and some of the in that then it will go to sedimentation tank. Some of the combined will be there. Here it will be separate. Coagulation, combined flocculation and sedimentation will be there in the some of the, that is called clariflocculator, which have combined flocculation and sedimentation. If not, coagulation tank is different and flocculation tank is different and sedimentation chamber will be different. Okay, we'll explain one by one. Rapid or flash mixing unit, how it will be provided, what motor will be there, how it will be worked out, how the rapid or flash mixing unit will be going to work out. The coagulation requiring the addition of coagulant, which should be very well mixed with water to produce homogeneous mixture. To produce homogeneous mixture. See here, the homogeneous mixture should be produced here. For this purpose, we are going to your whatever the coagulant, your dose you are adding, that should be homogeneously mixed. Okay, of the influent water and the coagulant. The mixing is achieved in the tank called rapid mixer or flash mixer. And the most of the common mixer is used in the coagulation tank are mechanical. Yes, obviously we are using mechanical, turbine or propeller used type of mixing. It is usually have a square or circular, that is depend upon the criteria involved. Here, see, this is the chemical feed. You can see it here. You can see here the chemical feed tank will be here, and this is the angle gear, and this is the inlet, and this is the outlet going to flocculation. From the rapid mixing it is going to flocculation. This is the pedal, water will come and it will mix it rapidly here. This is downflow, propellers are provided. This is propeller. Okay, this is motor. From this is a typical cross section of your rapid mixing chamber. Okay, next one, slow mixing unit, that is flocculator. This is called flash mixing. The second one will be, as I shown in the figure, you can say this is flash mixing, this is flocculator, then it will go to sedimentation chamber. So second one will be slow mixing. Slow mixing, in that baffle valves are provided. The objective of the flocculation, why we need to flocculation, in this increasing the number of contact between coagulated particle. See here, the contact Al2S, for example, your Al2O3, Al2 3- will be contact between the particles and make them aggregate. Okay, that is called coagulate particle gently prolonged agitation to increase the particle size from microfloc to larger. That means aggregate size increases in this particular slow mixing, because already your mixing has already done here. So from that it will be slow mixer. Microflocs are brought into contact with each other. The process of slow mixing. Thus, flocculation requires slow mix, which is typically achieved in gravitational or hydraulic mechanical. Especially we used to go for a typically gravitational. The common type of flocculator, horizontal or vertical, that is dependent. So this is horizontal type. Our vertical shaft will be there here provided. Baffle valves are provided, so inlet zone as well as outlet zone is provided so that the mixing will be happen slowly. Then another one very important, combined clariflocculator. Combined one, that is clariflocculator. Here, clariflocculator is a combination of flocculation. Here what happens actually, clariflocculation is a combination of flocculation as well as clarification in a single tank. Here see that the paddles are provided. See that here there is no again no sedimentation tank separate and flocculation tank is separate. Both are in a one tank, so that slowly mixing will be happening same way, the slowly settling of the particle happening in the same tank. But here some of the places the tanks will be different, because that is depend upon the criteria involved. You can see here this is separated tank. Flash mixing is the flocculation basis, sedimentation is basis. When we call it as a clariflocculator or clarifier, it is a combination of flocculation and clarification. Clarification means settling basin. That is in a single tank, where inner tank serves as the, see here, inner tank serves as a flocculation basin and outer tank serves as a clarifier. Okay, the inner tank serves as a clariflocculator basin and the outer tank it will be as usual your clarifier. Clarifier means settling. Here you can see in the figure it is clearly one tank you had a one more called, it is, see inside you have a flocculator. In the clariflocculator, you should call it as even the combination of clarifier as well as sedimentation or clarifier with the flocculation, we used to call it as a clariflocculator. In the water enters the flocculator, where the flocculating paddles enhance the flocculation of feed solids. As the heavy particles settle at the bottom and the liquid floats radially upward in the clarification zone. Radially upward. The clarified function as a circular settling basin. Okay. See, the clarified function is circular settling basin. Water discharged over a periodical weir into the peripheral, here the peripheral launder. So that is what your weir loading. So deposited sludge is racked at the bottom near the central weir from where the discharge. The settling zone is received flocculator is a type 2 flocculating settling. Type 2 means what? That you already we discussed what is type 2. So this is about your clariflocculator design. So in the coagulation and flocculation units, we had coagulation and rapid mix and flash mix. In that we have to mix it properly, mix it well to homogeneous mix, and here you are going for a flocculation basin where we are making the particle to be dense or arrest as well as make them dense. Size increases, then you can send to sedimentation chamber where you have a collection of the particle or settling of the particle. So this will be the main agenda of the coagulation and flocculation unit. Very simple. We came that is the raw water came from intake. We have taken from the raw water from the river to intake to sedimentation tank, from sedimentation tank to coagulation tank if for settling. From there we are going to next part or next video lecturing, we are going to take them to filtration. Why filtration is required, or what is the use of filtration, we're going to discuss in the next coming part. Okay, so this will be filtration, will be discussed in the next coming part. So now we'll recall about today's topic, that is what we discussed in the today's topic. What is the why we are types of coagulant, alum, what alum and how it will work in the water, what is the advantage of alum and what is the disadvantage of alum, and coagulant dose optimization test, that is how we are optimum test we are doing in the laboratory. I explained about the test how we are doing in the laboratory, and we are going to achieve the result, and we are comparing with the importance of optimum coagulant as well as means what if coagulant dose is more, or what if coagulant is dose is less. So that is the very important factor which we discussed in the module 3 part 4 video, as well as units, how the units is settled in the coagulation and flocculation tank. Hope so. Today's video is simple and understandable. So I'm going to wind up today's topic with the particularly thank you for hearing. 4 more minutes. Will just have a look. For any clarification, please come with a comment box. I'll be always to be clear the doubts in this regards. Okay, so in coming videos we are going to discuss about why filtration, what after. See, from here inlet pipe, from inlet, so this is lake or any reservoir point, from here to we came primary treatment, that is sedimentation, from there coagulation tank, now filter, sedimentation tank, after coagulation rapid mixing, you can see here, then sedimentation, from there from here sand filtration will be there, from there we are going to disinfection and overhead tank distribution. This is what your entire water supply system subject says, how to do this all the things. Okay, that is about next topic will be filtration, and filtration objective, what will be the mechanism involved. So this will be discussed in the coming video lecturing. So today's topic is of your only coagulant dose and optimization techniques. So regarding any clarification, be alert for any time. Okay. Thank you one and all. Just a minute. I'll upload it for a 50-minute video. Thank you.